How you doing, guys? This is we got the perfect storm. First, we get I don't know if it's first or not. We got a pandemic. We got all kinds of strife, and then we we got clobbered by the what the, with a storm that had been a hurricane. I'm here with a we're in a hotel because we lost our power, hoping to get it back. I mean, and so I was sort of thinking how we plan on uh, getting watches and what's going to happen to the watches and everything. So I don't know. So first of all, let me ask you. This is obviously on a portable and not at home, so I'm not sure how good is the sound and the picture okay. Hey, Geezer, Abdul, how's it going? Orange Hand, Mr. Gumby, Tim, hey, Dominic, Rick, Tim, hi, Tim, Dwayne, boy, okay, let's see. Everything's good. Oh, great. Hi, Jeffrey, Desmo. Okay, so this afternoon, I think we're getting our power back. In fact, I'm positive. And so we'll be able to leave the hotel. All of my watches are in the bank vault, which means I'll have to get them out. And yeah, it's more stuff happening. Okie doke. Hi Hans, how you doing, man? Um, yeah. We had apparently this is what I learned. Here's something from my meteorology 101. If I guess it was when by the time the hurricane Isaias or something like that. That was another thing. They had to give the hurricane a name. There wasn't a chance that I could pronounce right. Isaias or something like that. Why can they call it Bud? Hurricane Bud or Sue, something like that. Anyway, so apparently on one side of it, if you're on the east side of the hurricane or tropical storm, you get a lot of wind. If you're on the west side, you get a lot of rain. So we needed rain. So naturally, we got the east side. We got all this wind, and we got a pretty little state here in Connecticut, but something like three or 400,000 people still are without power. And so anyway, now they brought out the National Guard, so the hotel is filling up with a National Guard. Poor guys, and everybody's got these masks, and oh man. This is the perfect time. I thought that we could talk about planning on what watch you're going to get in the middle of everything going on, and you can add whatever you want. We're okay. The funny thing that happened to us is that uh, the goats are okay. I know a lot of people are worried about them, but they're okay. Those are our neighbors. And but our next door neighbor, he's got a house up in somewhere else, I think up in New Hampshire. And so he's gone a lot during the summer. But he had some guy come and cut back all of his trees and branches, which was, talk about perfect timing because he had it done right before the storm. Except the guy left them all over the place. So our next door neighbor looked like one of those people that had the worst of it. And it was just God, what else can happen? And I only ask that as because I know a lot of other people are going through it, and especially with jobs and things like that, that's rough. And so we're in a rough time. And how do we, it's like, somebody my age has been through wars and oh God, you name it. But this is unique and not much fun. And then here we had I've been looking at uh, the whole discussion. I'll put it that way, and is sort of I'll put it the what do we know discussion. And I've noticed that a lot of people are very concerned about survival of certain watch companies. And so I thought, well, this would be something that we could talk about. First of all, one thing I think it would help us to recognize is that the watch companies that we have today, a lot of them have gone through some really very rough times. The quartz, of course, was the worst. And then now we have smartwatches, which really didn't help. And I saw some kind of thing about the amount of money and the number of smartwatches that sold during a certain year, which of course outstripped the number of luxury watches. And um, so, so there's, so this is nothing new. There was this wonderful comment. There's somebody like uh, Ben Johnson or one of those guys who just said interesting stuff. And he said that a man will give up his, and then he listed all of the things that he would give up before he gave up his club. He wanted to, he was in a gentleman's club. He didn't want to give that up. And in a way, the same thing is true with the way we collect watches. Apparently, there are a lot of other things that we'll let slide for the sake of our watches. I don't know. Anyway, um, hey Stefan, how you doing? Clyde, hi Clyde. Clyde, listen, this is the special kind of hotel we got because they have the rates are by the day, and the one you gave me was by the hour. So this is more, it was more economical, I think. Anyhow, I'll probably get hit by. We had, by the way, too. Clyde was saying he didn't have. I give him a hard time about Oklahoma and their tornadoes. We had a tornado coming up our street. they had, we were scared to death, and it didn't hit us, but it was funny because after harassing and even giving them a little icon of a tornado for Oklahoma, we're the ones that got in. All the trees are all messed up around where we are. There was this great big tree. It fell over on these wires, and the wires were holding it up. Just like, oh, come on, you know, we've got all of this other stuff going on. Oh man, hey geezer, how's it going, Hans? Hey Hans, how we got in your garden? Yeah, I meant Dorothy on the way. Let's see. What reading about another high-profile watch robbery? The food god got his 250,000 Richie Milley. Oh my God, at gunpoint. Jeez, man, it's still a melee with gunpoint. I don't know what they're gonna do. Oh man. Um, okay, so let's take a look at who's gonna do well. I think that once there's only one thing left on the earth will be the cockroaches, apparently, and the Rolexes. They're both going to survive. I'm not worried about them, Patek Philippe, and a lot of the other ones that seem to be in fairly strong shape. And this is the other thing is that when FP Jorn got up there and had that thing about, well, he's ready to croak any minute now, so you better buy his watches and the prices will go up. Apparently, some people really believed him because that's exactly what happened. People go, oh, I better get an FP Jorn because he's ready to kick the bucket, and I better go grab one. And then they had an auction, and whoop, up they went. I've been looking at. Hi Zahid, how are you doing? Um, FPGA prices continue to climb on Chrono 24. Chrono 24 and the auction houses everywhere, they're going up. Speaking of which, I have on my little um, chronomet surveying by FP has been it's just this is a nice watch to have. If you got to be locked up, I have this one, and I also have my uh, Roger Dubuis. It sort of brought it along a big top watch. It's a bodyguard for the FPGA, but this watch is just nice. It's just a nice watch. FPGA is pure supply and demand. More people know about FPGA, so demand goes up, but supply remains the same. You're right, Rick. Yeah. Hey, Colin, how you doing, man? Um, FPGA are getting into a tulip kind of hype. We're in a tulip hype. I tell you, who needs to be? There are a lot of the Dutch watch companies need to be in a tulip hype. They went out. These guys I know, they went out and they bought up all of the Gronfeld Remontois, 1941 Remontois, and there weren't any left for me. Not that I could ever afford one if they were, but just in case. So anyway, you know what FP Journe did? You got to hand it to them, really. Here they come out with these very interesting things going on in their watches. This one's got a double barrel, which shouldn't impress anybody, but it's set in parallel, which is like 90%, if not more, of all of the double barrels I know are sequential to give it a longer charge. And so that was the kind of choices they made. Same thing with doing things with the Remontois, the resonance, doing really interesting kinds of stuff. And here's a guy who is very about him and his watches and his movements, and he doesn't fudge a bit. I mean, I've never seen a watch he could crank out chronomet blues day and night and still have a backlog on them because of the quality of the watch and the quality of the movement together. And I think that anybody who does that deserves to have popular watches. On the other hand, I still go crazy when I see IWC with some kind of phony baloney name for an ETA movement or a Salida movement or something they have in there, and without saying anything about it. The thing I like about FP Journe, a lot of people say, well, he's a terrible snob. And here's the upside of being a snob. It's that you're too proud to let any other movement into your watches except your own. And so there are certain things about that. Gronfeld, those two guys, they have great watches. They're really expensive. Now, here's the thing that I think that, to me, for the bulk of us, the great majority of us who love watches, love mechanical watches, love good ones, is there aren't that many people who appreciate these kinds of things. And so this is we're trying to plan, what will I do next? What will be my next watch? It is certain ones that you may have been thinking about, or I've been thinking about, they're going to the moon as far as prices, so that's out of it. And so one of the things I've been doing is I've been looking at some really overlooked watchmakers, and Antoine Peruzio was one. Daniel Roth was another one, and Christian Vanderklaw. All of those are still around and affordable. They also, just about every one of them, and this is not only true with these guys, but it's also true with every watch company almost, they have terrible websites, really awful websites. I guess they're terrible as marketing devices or marketing platforms. They have all of this really beautiful kind of wavy stuff, and they throw in a video. How many times is a video interesting? It's usually once, maybe twice. The only one I know that was better than that was the one that Ulysse Nardin had for their regatta, which was just, to me, it was ought to be a model for every. If you're going to sell a watch, they even won the what category was it? A sports watch category, I guess. And I'm still convinced it was because of that neat video they had. So, anyway, going back to how we plan for the future, how can we, and I don't know, and especially if you got a job that they're changing because of this whole thing. I know that some people I know were told to go in and clean out their desk and work from home. And this happened possibly for two reasons. One, the people working home from home have been able to do it perfectly fine. That's one thing. The other thing is that your the workplaces have to be reset up. So for social distancing and everything else until there's some kind of vaccine. I mean, it really works. That'll kill this thing off. We're waiting for that. Um, but then afterwards, and this is something I've been saying for a long time, and because of doing a lot of work in the before I retired, before getting into this online business, is that it just doesn't make any sense otherwise. With book publishers, so much stuff happened. Even, I mean, as soon as they started having the publishing that was done with laser printers, or typesetting actually that was done with laser printers, man, that changed the whole industry. Excuse me. Uh-oh. Every time I cough, so this is the kind of thing. So here we are in a state of uncertainty, and trying to plan for that. Are you going to pull an Archie Luttrell and show us the hotel back? God, no. This is I wouldn't do that. Why would I do that? I know some of us have unusual taste, but that's not one of mine. Oh, let's see what's going on, Rick. FPGA CSs are up in price by about 10,000 since January. Yep, that's absolutely true. This is why, but the thing of it is that um, I think if you get a watch with a really interesting movement that you really like, doesn't matter what the price is, because you got it for the right reasons. Speaking of which, now I was talking about the different kind of independent watchmakers I've been sort of fascinated by, and one that I mentioned the other day, and I'm going to have start other stuff up on High Horology Lounge, is the work by Vincent Calabrosi. I think that's how you pronounce it. Calabrosi's stuff, he was one of the co-founders of AHCI. Terrible website. It was really bad. So I was looking at some of his watches, and he's basically got two kinds. And I'm finding this with a lot of top-notch independent watchmakers. On the one hand, he's got these really interesting ones, like the Wandering Hours, but the whole thing behind it is an ETA movement. Okay. On the other hand, he's got these things that are magic. I was looking at this little movement on the inside, and apparently something he did, and you can see the whole movement. And on top of that, he says, "Oh, and this is the tourbillon on top of that." What? And so discovering all of these things, and then I found out that there was a group of these top. They were called masters, called the master horologist or something like that. That he was one of them, and they have this jumping hour watch, a really strange looking watch. I forgot the name of it, but Calabrosi. Um, Calabrosi. Who else? Um, Sven Anderson. And so they had all of these really top watch guys make this watch, and it's called something Masters. And I'm going to put up a couple after this is over on High Horology Lounge. And so it's interesting to what if you start looking in some of these different nooks and crannies. It's sort of like, these guys been around for a long time. So anyway, okay. Hey, Andrew, how's it going? Um, did you bring a travel clock to the hotel? No. I, I have, that's really funny because my major travel watch is my hemispheres, my Parmigiani hemispheres. I love that watch. And but I didn't bring it because we're like, I don't know, a couple miles from home. the, the power was here, wasn't working at home, so that's the only reason we're stuck here for at least a while. Pretty sure by this afternoon we'll be back to normal. I did after the storm. I went out in the back, and there were all of these pears that had been blown off our pear tree, and a couple apples. And so they were the goats. So I went over and started giving the goats uh, some of the pears, and they were checking out my watch. Let's see. Hi Hans, what's up? You sure didn't snooze on that one. Okay, who didn't? There was a gray market price in January. Okay, what is it now? Hey David, how you doing? Um, Hi Indrajit, you just made it. Hodinky won. What would that is? Um, Hotel because of a storm or quarantine. Andrew, what happened was that our house lost power, and so we have no power, and we have a which is too bad. We have tons of power being generated by our house because we had this solar electric put up, and I really wish that we could have simply flicked the switch somewhere in our house, and suddenly we would be using this all of the electrical power we've been generating from a roof. We have almost no electric bill. I mean, all we get is a monthly statement that is our hookup fee. That's it, about $20 a month for electricity. Before that, people are getting $600 and $700 bills on this current heat wave we've been having, and so but we couldn't do that, and I would really like to have that happen. But we also have a well. We get our water from a well, and so we have an electric pump, and so the pump, I have to pump the water into the house. So that's a whole other story. And let me see. So we got a well. It's just, we have, and we start fires with the rocks and flint. That stuff. It sounds like really primitive, but it's not bad. Oh man, Kadoki is an affordable master's watch. Yeah, yeah, it is. Well, I mean, it's under 10,000. Here's one that's handmade. I really like Kadoki's stuff, and I like his style too. He's sort of. It's interesting is that Calabrosi, who's got half of his watches that I was looking at, all had ETAs in it, but as one of the founders, he and Sven Anderson, they have a lot of ETA movements in their watches, but they also have their own movements in in watches too. And at the Calabrosi site, I was looking at that. Boy, right away they tell you exactly uh, the kind of movement in there. There's none of this stuff that was some kind of phony name or something that they pretend it's anything else than what it is. And what you get is that you get a really interesting kind of module that they built for the watch, and they simply see the movement as something that tell the time, which isn't the thing to them that's interesting is how the time is told. And so I'm starting to really beginning to appreciate some of the interesting stuff that they're doing. Hey, term day, term days, Tema days, Tina days. How you doing, man? What do you think about Ming watches? I don't know. I'm still trying to decide on some of them. They're really well priced, and just sort of looking at them design wise, I think they're well done. But I'm not sure about the rest. Um, I love and want a Kadoki, but the needs to go completely designed in house before it becomes um, an after. Yeah. Okay. So there. This is the other thing. A lot of people are complaining about all of these upstarts that are coming out of the woodwork, and there are two kinds. One kind isn't exactly out of the woodwork, but they've been doing some interesting stuff. Is guys like Kadoki, and there's some other ones too. The AH, AHCI.ch. This is the independent watchmakers site where they really have people who are actually making really good movements. And trying to, again, going back to this whole area of uncertainty, um, I just don't know. I think that there's a small group of people who are going to have money for certain kinds of watches, especially some of your uh, top guys like FPGA and Gronfeld and some of these other ones. And apparently, Richard Mille. Richard Mille's his I think he uses the Vaucher or something. This is I'm not sure how they became so popular. Somebody referred to them as Invictus for millionaires, which I thought was sort of a funny name for them. But they're really sort of the top dog right now for really expensive watches. And if people can afford that and that's what they like, you know, that works out. But sometimes what'll happen with a watch like that thing can turn on a dime and suddenly nobody wants them anymore. I don't find them to be horologically, you know, wowzer, but I know some people do, and that's their taste. Hey Lee, how you doing, man? um, AHCI is a gold mine. No kidding, Abdul. That's the way I look at it too. It's just like if you go there and then you start finding these guys, and they aren't that expensive. This is I found one by Calabrosi that was I think a wandering hour. It was like I think maybe 6,000, brand new. I mean, this is buying it from him directly, and so I think you need to consider the financial viability of an independent before you buy an expensive piece. In my opinion, they need to have a degree of critical mass before I would buy. Probably a good point. This is the thing though. Is and Rick, I have I totally understand what you're saying. If though you can spot that ahead of time, if you can spot it ahead of the trend, that's when you can get a really great buy. You could when I first looked for I was looking for an FP joint that I could afford, and back when I got this one, I could have got a blue for I think a brand new one almost. Just going down to the store, hey, no, give me a Chronomat blue. All right, without a problem. But I like this one for the simple reason that this one has a power reserve indicator and the blue didn't. I like the blue, but I like this better. It's just like, some people go, how come you don't have a Rolex? Well, I like them, but I like other stuff better. And it's nothing like, people think that if you're going to get a watch, you have to get something that is going to have something that is responsible financially. Let's face it, I don't think watch collection, for the most part, is a financially responsible behavior. I mean, like, was to me, it's just sort of a fun hobby. Um, but if you got to get a new in our case, we got to get a new driveway, and so I got to save up for that now. And after this storm, we decided we're going to get a generator, so I have to save up for that. But I got I look at this, and well, let me ask you guys this, okay? We're running out of time. The the I I guess first of all, I don't think I would ever buy a watch that I didn't like. I mean, like, this is an ugly watch, but I know it's a valuable one, and I know it's got X, Y, and Z to it, but I can't stand it and never wear it. I don't think I'd ever buy a watch like that, even though it was a good price and it was a um, good buy. So, um, yeah, Lisa, right? It's expensive, but fun. And I think if you took the fun out of it, it wouldn't. I don't think I could ever be in watch collection. Um, I just realized that a watch can court investment for watch collectors is actually called goodbye. Yeah. Adios. Boom. Well, guys, listen. A half hour is up. I got a feeling that the neighbors are going to start beating on the wall or doing something else that would mess up our video. Anyway, hope to be back home by this afternoon. So for those of you who are coming to the 4 o'clock New York time video, I'll see you then. And in the meantime, really stay safe, man. Everyone around here has been wearing masks and stuff. Hate masks. I don't like wearing them, but I do. And also, my wife has got me wearing gloves too. But what I want to do is I want to go home so I can pet my goats. Take care.